I love, there's a podcast I enjoy a lot, the What the Fuck podcast by stand-up comic Mark Maron. And so I've been listening to a lot of that as I go about doing all kinds of judgy housework, and they're pretty fun. Mark Maron gets on my nerves, but I think it's because I relate to him too much. Like I'm tired of loud NFPs too sometimes. Um, yeah, but I like him, and he has, and I don't know about his. I don't know what my best guess would be. I certainly don't know and can't know what his actual type identification would be. He would have to decide that, but I really don't have any guess. For a while, I really thought ENFP, and then I heard something about him having exactly two friends or something in his talk with Amy Schumer, and he seems to me he does seem to me to be more of an ENFP a lot of the time, and he also has that ENFP way of which he's demonstrated very well in his podcast of being able to make so many different kinds of people very, very comfortable and get them just quite easily just by being himself, elicit from them really genuine and full answers to questions, and to really he really draws people out very, very well. And it's not because he's the best interviewer in the world, and it's not because he's done all his homework, at all, necessarily. But he does seem to put people at ease, and that's, a lot of INFPs do, a lot of NF people do that anyways, and other types too, but I don't know. Anyhow, but I do feel really sure that he's an NFP. That it really is I'm confident about that best guess. I just see so many indications to that effect. And as I've already discussed quite a bit, I think that Louis C.K. would identify with INFP too. But I keep being surprised. I keep being surprised when I make a call, even the ones that have stood, over time, where I still am pretty convinced of, my original position. But and I keep thinking, oh, it's so obvious. Isn't it obvious? It's so obvious. And then I'm completely wrong. It's really not obvious to people, and they don't agree with me. Yeah, but here's something. I happened to be listening to the podcast with in which it's part one of two, a very long podcast in which Mark Maron is talking to his old friend and longtime colleague, Louis C.K. And they're talking about the first 16 minutes of this part one, which I will post. I'll post the link in the description box below. The two of them go on for most of that 16 minutes. Maybe the first 10 minutes. They're talking all about their feelings and all about their relationship and all about the difficult times in the relationship and their true inner feelings about each other and themselves and their jobs and all this existential stuff. And they're doing it in this completely open kind of way. And it just really struck me. It really, really struck me. And yet, here are these two dudes. Like, they're dudes, There's nothing effeminate about at all, and by anyone's, I can't imagine by anybody's standard at all, about either of them. They're slouchy, probably freely farting, totally heterosexual, ratty t-shirt wearing guys. But they're NF guys. So this is how the NF guy, the NF guys. So I would say, enjoy. This is how NFs talk to each other. And this is how NF dudes talk to each other. At least these ones do. And anyone who would like to go carry on with the, everybody do what they want. But those who would still want to argue that, no, I really think he's an NT. I really think Louis C.K. is an NT. I'm like, please, NTs, please, if there are any of you out there watching my stuff, please comment and tell me, do you hang out with your dude guy friends and talk about your feelings and the inner workings and the intricate inner emotional workings of your own friendships, like aloud and without any awkwardness, like just flat out all about your feelings for like 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time? Does that just happen? I have a very hard time imagining it based on what I know of a lot of NTs and a lot of NFs. I just don't see it. Anyway, whatever you think of this type-wise, whatever your guess is about the best type for these guys, it's pretty. I think it's pretty cool to listen to them talk, because after that they get into after they work things out, they process quite a bit. emotionally. Then they, they do. Then they move on to have a long conversation about all kinds of funny things that they remember about their early days when they met in New York City in the late 80s, early 90s, and what the comedy scene in that town was like, and all kinds of, scrapes and disasters and adventures and weird things that happened to them. It's pretty interesting. And near the end of this, like around the 16-minute mark of this thing, is also a really interesting real life, kind of existentially centered anecdote that they share about. It's really strange. It's really something about looking into the secret life of someone. Because Louis C.K. knows about computers, and he was able to sort of look at like, and then they talk about a character. I mean, it's just the most NF thing I've ever fucking heard, basically. Okay, it's like, so they go in the process about their friendship and their feelings. Then they move right in, and then they talk about some memories. Then they talk about, one of those memories is them poring over all of these personal letters and records and emails that were left on some hard drive, this abandoned hard drive of some guy they don't know, and who they read at great length and with fascination all about how this guy was presenting different guises of himself to different people in his life, and what it said about him as a person, the true self of that unknown person that they somehow in this weird way ended up finding all these things out about. I mean, again, I just don't know I don't know how it gets any more NF than this. I really don't. So there, take it or leave it. And thanks for joining me again. And goodbye.